HTML block and inline elements. Every HTML element has a default display value depending on what type of element it is. The default display value for most elements is block or inline. Block level elements. A block level element always starts on a new line and takes up the full width available. Means it stretches out to the left and right as far as it can. The div element is a block level element. Examples of block level elements are div, the h1, the h6, the p, and the form. We've used some of them. From experience, we have seen that they occupy the whole width of the page. Okay, inline elements. An inline element does not start on a new line and only takes up as much width as necessary, unlike the block level elements. So, examples of inline elements, we have the span, we have the anchor tag, we have the image tag. These ones don't start on a new line, but just take up as much space as necessary. Okay, the div element. The div element is a block level element that is often used as a container for other HTML elements. The div element has no required attributes, but style and class are common. Okay, you don't really need to use an attribute. When used together with CSS, the div element can be used to style blocks of content. For example, we want to style this content. So we're going to use this example and see what we make out of it. Okay, let's create another div tag here. Alright, inside that we'll use a h2. Div elements. Let's use the p tag. Let's paste the dummy text there. Okay, style. Let's change this background color to let's look for a nice color here in the hex values. Okay, pick that one. 669999. Okay. Always remember to put the semicolon at the end. So color, let's use white. Then let's add a padding here of 20 pixels. Okay, let's save and preview. Yeah, I see it. So the container has taken up a background color and the div element inside. So you see the use of a div as a block level element. It takes up the full width of the page. The span element. The span element is an inline element that is often used as a container for some text. The span element has no required attributes, but style and class are common also, just like the div. When used together with CSS, the span element can be used to style parts of the text. Now, for example, I want to style parts of this text, now this heading. So my important heading, we create a span and put the importance in between so you see how it looks like. So invariably we use the span to create a division in between the text. Usually you will have to add an attribute that will affect the whole paragraph, but if you just want selected words in the paragraph to be affected, then that's when we will use the span. So we use the span to target a specific word or phrase in the paragraph without affecting the whole paragraph. So write my importance, then heading. So let's save and preview this. Now we'll see that the importance here is red. Naturally, we will have styled the whole paragraph and to be red. But to get just the importance to be red, we have to use a span. So that it creates a container between my and heading. HTML classes. Classing block elements. The HTML class attribute makes it possible to define equal styles for equal div elements. For example, if this is your document, we have the style here where we do an internal styling. Okay, so in the body here, you're going to have two div sections with the same class name. So when we style the class, it's going to affect both of the sections. Okay, so this is an example, and this is what we're going to do right now. So it won't just style a singular div. Please don't forget to try out other options. No, don't just stick with the examples I give in this tutorial. Okay, let's copy and paste this so that makes it kind of right. So delete this inline style here and put a class. Let's do places. Okay, let's come down here and write 2 div elements 2. Okay, we'll go up here and delete this also. Give it a class of places as well. Alright, so in our style section, it's up here somewhere. Okay, now we're going to style those divs. Write div dot places. Okay, remember that the dot is for class and the hashtag is for IDs. Okay, background color, let's use a 669999 like we used before. Let's use a color of white. Okay, let's use a margin of 10 pixels all around. Okay, let's use a padding of 20 pixels all around. Save and preview. F5. Now we could see one single development here. Now it's 2, all having the same styling. See, even the margin shifted inside. Okay, because we added a margin of 10 pixels. The margin is spacing, remember, around the boxes. So it kind of spaces the element from the edge of the page. Okay, so what if while typing I made a mistake and removed the S from here? Would it still render the same way? No. You see, that's because the class has a definite name, and even though my intention is to make the both elements have the same styling, if I write a wrong class or wrong ID, then the styling I make for one will not affect the other one. So it's always important to identify the elements with the appropriate class. You know, when we use class, we can affect as many elements as possible, but when we use ID is for a singular element. It cannot be used twice. It can only be used once. So that's why when you're classing elements, they have to have the same name if you want them to have the same style. Okay? All right. Now, classing inline elements. The HTML class attribute also makes it possible to define equal styles for equal span elements. You know, we've classed block level elements, now we're classing inline elements. Okay? So now we're going to use a span. So we're going to take this example and see what comes out of it. Okay, we're going to create a heading and we're going to create a paragraph. And we're going to insert a span in both. So we already have the heading here, so let's create a paragraph. This is some. We'll put the span tag here. Important. We'll create some space here. Text here. Right, let's remove this style and put a class instead. So the class will be let's name it notes. This class also call it notes. This is so we have the same styling for both of them. Okay, let's go up to our style tag, up. Okay, so in here we have span with the class of note. All right, now first thing I want to do, I want to give it a font size of 120 pixels. Okay, give it a color then. So let's try Burleywood. Now let's save and preview that. F5. So they've assumed the same text size or font size, but the reason why one is more bold than the other is because one is a heading, the other is a paragraph, but they are all the same font size. So the styling of the font size and the color affects both of them because they are all in the same class. So let's make this 80. It's looking kind of big there. Let's do something here. What if also here let's correct these places here. Okay, now it's smaller, it looks more interesting. So you can class as many elements as possible if you want them all to have the same styling. Okay, remember what I said, we use a class when you're styling more than one element, but if you're styling a unique or a singular element, you use ID. ID cannot be used on multiple elements. All right.